Y'all get ready?
Yes, you get ready.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.
Hey tea sippers, happy Saturday. I hope you guys are doing good. I've been under the weather this week, child. It's been cold as hell. But I'm trying to hang in there because I know spring will be here in a few months, okay? I know there's a lot of stuff going down and I want to keep my tea sippers on top of everything. So that's why I am bringing y'all this video today on a Saturday when I should low-key be resting, but it is all good. And thank you guys so much, honestly, for just all the love and support on my videos. You know what I'm saying? You guys are really enjoying these reactions and these different topics that I'm hitting on. So there's a lot of things going on currently. People are losing their jobs left and right. And once again, the country, well, we've been divisive for a while, but there's even more divisiveness because you have a lot of federal workers losing their jobs and you have people making fun of them, you know, making skits. And then you have other people saying this is not right. A lot of folks who did not think that they were DEI, unfortunately fucked around and found out that, yeah, veterans are DEI. You got your job based off of being a disabled veteran, meaning that you too are DEI. It's not just blacks and gays and Hispanics. Child. People been getting their wake-up call, I swear, all week.
I was a Trump supporter. You know, when he talks about government waste and all that, yes, I'm behind it. I believe there is a lot of stuff in the government that needs fixing. And that's part of the reason why I actually wanted to work for the government, actually, to help change the things that are wrong in the world, you know? And I thought that someone with like his business acumen would have come in with a fine-tooth comb and actually found it instead of coming in with a wrecking ball and destroying people's lives for no reason.
So this entire situation is crazy. I've been gathering clips, taking notes. These videos take a while to put together. So we're going to start with the news. We're going to start with some news reports, what they're saying, how DOGE is just coming through, wrecking shop, cutting jobs, massive layoffs all over the country. Hell, yesterday, Elon Musk came on stage with a damn chainsaw. I'm like, what in the chainsaw massacre is going on here? You know, it's crazy just watching all of this stuff playing out in real time. So we're going to start with some news clips. And then I'm also going to show you how a lot of people in the mainstream media are also, you know, key and low key and laughing at federal employees getting fired until it fucked around and landed in Jesse Waters' friend's DEI lap. It's very interesting that when it's somebody else, when it's a different sector, people don't seem to care until things are at their front door. So we're going to just go ahead, watch these clips. I'm going to break some things down.
More than a dozen people spoke to us. Many of them didn't want to go on camera, but almost everyone had a strong opinion, ranging from fear over what's going on to applauding the government-wide cuts.
Everything just feels very indiscriminately done. There's no purpose to it. They're just slashing people without any kind of thoughtful consideration of what they do, what their job is.
I just don't understand how all this can happen and there's no control over it. And we've got people in the Oval Office now that aren't politicians, that have no right to be making these decisions.
The White House says it's the federal agencies making the decisions about who to cut. And supporters of President Trump, they say that this is long overdue, that the government should be downsized, although one supporter said that it seems the cuts are happening rather abruptly.
I think it was a little quick. I think you probably could have rolled it out a little better, but I think overall it's going to be good in the long run.
I don't think it's too abrupt. Unfortunately, we do have to pull the rug out after a while. I mean, the spigot has got to stop. This has just been ridiculous.
I spoke to one federal employee who declined to go on camera but agreed with that sentiment, calling the cuts, quote, fantastic. Another federal worker disagreed and said he worries about young talent, those probationary employees with less than 2 years experience on the job, leaving government and taking their skills with them.
I'm really not sure what I'm going to do.
Katie Sandlin is still living out of boxes after uprooting her life in Carbon Hill, Alabama last month, a town of 2,000, to work at the National Institutes of Health outside Washington, D.C.
I wiped out my savings account. I maxed out my credit card. I had to take out a loan.
But she called her job an opportunity of a lifetime, educating communities about NIH research.
People like me, where I'm from, rural Alabama, like these kind of jobs don't happen to people like me.
3 weeks later, Sandlin became one of thousands of federal probationary workers to be fired. They had less than 1, or in some cases, less than 2 years of experience and fewer protections from layoffs, making them easier to terminate.
Now I'm unemployed, I have a ton of debt, and I'm also losing my health insurance.
Did it ever cross your mind that you could be fired in a second?
That part actually never crossed my mind.
Did your supervisor give you a reason for why you were getting fired?
They made it clear that I was not being terminated because of anything that I had done.
An HHS official sent Sandlin a letter saying your performance has not been adequate to justify further employment at the agency.
When I got it really upset me because it felt like it wasn't truthful. My boss, her boss, and even his boss all said that that was not true.
Our CBS News data team found that at the Veterans Health Administration, which implements the health care program for vets, probationary workers account for 30% of the staff. At the Department of Agriculture, it's 19% of the branch that performs food safety inspections. When it comes to air safety, about 1/3 of the TSA may be impacted. So far, 2,000 probationary workers at NIH have lost their jobs.
All right, so you guys just saw both of those news clips. You guys saw how the young lady moved from Alabama to Washington, D.C., which is a job of a lifetime. You know, a lot of people want to work for the federal government. Those are good jobs. You get a Fed job. You're literally in there for life once you pass your probationary period. Now, a lot of people have been wondering, you know, why are these people on probation for so long? What I research is that once you apply for a federal job, they have to do security clearance. It doesn't matter if you're going to be a janitor in a federal office, if you're going to be a nurse, any federal job, there's going to be security clearance. And those security clearances cost a lot of money. So once you are, clear, they do longer probationary periods, where like in the private sector, your probation might be anywhere from 60 to 90 days, maybe 6 months, depending on your job title. With Fed workers, their probationary periods are usually a minimum of 2 years, just because a lot of times you are working with very highly sensitive information, documents, departments, and things like that. So if you are not meeting your goals, if you are not up to par, if your standards are not where they expect them to be, they have upwards of up to 2 years to get rid of you. And so this is why they're able to get rid of so many people, because a lot of people are on their probationary periods. But the problem is a lot of this stuff was implemented rapidly. So some people who have made lateral moves, like let's say you came in and you did your probationary period as a disabled vet, right? So you've done your 2-year period, you're a good worker, and then you decide to apply for a management position or a lateral move or just whatever, right? You want to grow in your field. Well, what has happened now, a lot of these people who felt like, well, I already did my probationary period, I should be good. Now we're finding out that a lot of these disabled vets who applied for new positions within the past few months, they've also been fired. So they're not taking into account, well, hey, I already made it through my probation period. I'm in a new position as a manager. I'm in a new position as a lead. They're saying, okay, you're in a new position. To us, you're still probationary and you're fired. So this is affecting a lot of people, not just people who have just gotten there within a year or two, people who have been there for 4 or 5 years who happen to, move up the ladder in the past month or two. They're finding themselves fired as well. So a lot of this goes back to that buyout. they had offered a buyout, like an 8-month severance, a few weeks ago. And they said, you guys can take the buyout. I want to say maybe 20 to 30,000 people did take the buyout. A lot of people did not, because a lot of stipulations came with that buyout. Now, I have been looking for proof and receipts. Have anybody been paid from the buyout? From what I've seen, I haven't seen any checks that have been cut. But again, I might be looking in the wrong places. If you have received your buyout, or, at least started receiving some type of income, leave a comment down below. But me personally, I have not seen any videos, any receipts of anybody saying, hey, I took the buyout and I got my first check. Maybe the checks may start in March. I don't know when that's going to happen. But I see a lot of people saying, well, they should have took the buyout. Again, do we know that a buyout is really going to happen? Do we know that these checks are really going to be cut? Because from what Jasmine Crockett was saying, none of this was approved federally as of yet.
Last word to you, Congresswoman. Those people who are terrified don't know whether anyone can stop it. Is there any way to stop it legally?
Listen, I don't think that anything that he's done thus far is legal. So, if I was to put on my legal hat, I would say, stay in this fight. You have worked for this country, not because you were making the best amount of money. You worked because you cared. These are actual, true civil servants. And so I'm asking you, I know that it may be daunting, but I don't want us to end up in a situation where he's handed out these buyouts. Again, the power of the purse is with Congress. We have not signed off on these buyouts. I don't know where he's getting this money from. Is Elon pitching in? I'm not really sure.
So that's like the whole thing that's like really affecting people. They felt like, well, if I would have known, I would have took the buyout, but then it hasn't really been approved, or my manager told me not to take the buyout. So now people are just finding themselves fired. So it's a really sad situation what's going on. But now I'm going to play some clips from the mainstream media, the talking heads, and look how they're kind of gleefully laughing about this. It's kind of disturbing.
Now to the other big story we're following tonight. We are tracking 3 new things you need to know before you go to bed about the federal workforce fallout. First up, a federal judge cleared the way for the Trump administration to move forward with mass firings of probationary workers. Second, the IRS has now started firing people. According to CNN, 6,000 employees are expected to lose their jobs by the end of the week. And third, CNN is also reporting more than 50,000 Defense Department employees are now at risk of being fired. And just a few hours ago, Elon Musk celebrated his efforts to shrink the federal workforce as head of the Department of Government Efficiency. He spoke at the Conservative Political Action Conference at National Harbor tonight. Listen to this.
People ask, how can you find waste in D.C.? I'm like, look, it's like being in a room, and this target, the wall, the roofs, and the floor are all targets. So it's like you're going to close your eyes and go shoot in any direction. You can't miss.
Yeah, and at that event tonight, the president of Argentina gave Musk a chainsaw you see right there he's holding as a gift. He waved it in the air, describing it as, quote, a chainsaw for bureaucracy.
I mean, seriously, I feel like we're living in the upside down world. What in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is going on here? He literally acts like he's 12. You're running around with a chainsaw, regardless if y'all like federal workers or not. These are still people who have lost their jobs, so it's like, at least have a little bit of decorum, a little bit of professionalism, but maybe I'm asking for too much, okay? So now let's go ahead and mosey on to X, his platform, to see what some of the talking heads are saying over there.
But everybody's freaking out over DOGE, you're right. And on the left, on the right, people are so happy. I've got texts from friends, Charlie and Lisa, that they're like, we're giddy. Every morning we wake up and we can't believe what's happening.
But it also just makes sense, right? I mean, if you look at even the desire to cut federal employees, if any company is over budget, what do? You have to trim your staff. You have to trim your budget. And a part of that is layoffs. I mean, we look at all these major, CNN just laid off, I think, 6% of the network's workforce. We've got 2.4 million federal employees if you exclude post office personnel and the military. So why wouldn't you look there to try to trim some of that fat and try to cut the budget and have a little bit of a leaner, more cost-efficient federal workforce?
You could also trim stupid programs like this.
There you go.
Now, what's very interesting is the woman that's speaking, Rachel. She's the one from the real world. Back in the day, we talked about her on the channel during one of my live streams. She is Sean Duffy's wife. So let's not forget her husband, Sean Duffy, just became the transportation secretary. He also got his job via, his own personal DEI and his own relationship with the president. And they fired a lot of people from the FAA. So, I just hope that her husband is able to keep these planes in the air, because for whatever reason, they seem to keep crashing. And to me, I'm thinking it might be a correlation with the folks that were fired, but maybe I'm crazy. I don't know. Let's go on to the next clip. So I'm going to go ahead and play this video. This video has been going viral all over social media of Jesse Waters upset about his, his veteran friend getting, cut by DOGE, because I guess he doesn't understand that disabled veterans, they're also DEI. It was cool when it was black people, gays, Mexicans, but now that it's a disabled veteran, here come the tattooed tears. See, the pendulum swings both ways, and that's what Jesse needs to understand.
At the Defense Department, we're hearing 50,000 people are at risk of being fired next. 50,000. But listen to one champion of DOGE who suddenly changes his tune when the cuts hit home.
He just found out he's probably going to get laid off. He's going to get DOGE. And this guy's not a DEI consultant. This guy's not a climate consultant. This guy is a veteran. We just need to be a little bit less callous with the way, Harold, we talk about doging people. Okay, I want that to sink in.
You're arguing with yourself.
No, I am not guilty of that. I finally found one person I knew that got Doge, and it hit me in the heart.
Well, that same guy lecturing on being less callous has been the king of callousness for weeks.
Thousands of bureaucrats woke up today to a big "you're fired." DOGE is dishing out spankings like daddy daycare. It's like going to your grandparents' house, throwing out their VCR and their stacks of tapes, just downloading Netflix for them. Here, Grandpa, you just hit this button here and press select. Even the holiday weekend couldn't slow DOGE down. There was a huge exodus over at the National Archives. Persnickety librarians were getting DOGE'd silly. The Dewey Decimal System's next. DOGE is a blessing from the heavens above.
DOGE for thee, but not for me, Julie? I mean...
So, again, it's very interesting how once it hit home, once it affected, white, male, disabled veterans, now Jesse is looking for sympathy. Now he's trying to, send dog whistles to Elon to slow down on the cutting. It was okay when it was this department, at that department. No, you gotta go all ham. You gotta go for the disabled veterans too. So I feel no ways about Jesse Waters' friend. So now we're going to go ahead and move on over to TikTok, where it has been a bunch of drama. People going back and forth. You have a lot of MAGA people who were, basically clowning folks who have been fired from these federal jobs. They're making these joke videos. You have Fed workers crying. They never understood, the hate that they're getting. They just don't get it. It is so much drama going on TikTok right now. It is insane. So we're going to go ahead and start watching these TikTok clips right now.
So President Trump is going through, he's having Elon go through all of this stuff to see where America's taxpayer dollars are going to, and they're finding so much corruption, and I just wish that they would stop, because it's really none of their business, and I enjoy paying my taxes to other countries, and I love that it goes into other people's pockets instead of mine, and I just really love that. And I hate that he's deporting all of these people, because I also enjoy all of my tax dollars going to pay for all of their living, even though they came here illegally. And everything is not going according to plan. He's kept his word on everything he said. Everything he said, he kept his word on. Presidents aren't supposed to do that.
Not the tear filter.
This is the stupidest thing ever. I just wish I'd stay at what? I hate him too.
It's been, what? It's been 2 weeks? 2 weeks. I'm done. You want to talk about regretting your vote? In 2 weeks, I went from the highest high to being unemployed. Lost my job last night. Got a phone call. The repercussions of what Elon Musk are doing with the USAID has real repercussions for real people. For the last 7 years, I have been a shift lead on Project Bus, where we studied to find out if the wheels on the bus went round around or not. And all of a sudden, Elon, who's not even elected, gets in, and I'm out of a job. What do I tell my family? What do I tell my kids? This isn't a joke. This USAID stuff is not a joke, man. It's affecting real people. And the worst part is, what if we never figure out if in fact the wheels on the bus do go round and round? Does nobody care?
I am so disappointed in myself. There are so many people in this country right now losing their jobs. I don't even know what I'm going to say to my kids right now. I am so disappointed in myself. Why did I vote for Trump? Why? I was the VP of operations of how many licks does it take till you get to the center of a Tootsie Roll Pop?
These folks are true.
Now we're never gonna know. We are never gonna know. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm gonna tell my kids. Why? I can't.
On USAID this week. Every morning for the last 23 years, I would wake up, I worked from home, and I put my left foot in, and then I put my left foot out, and then I put my left foot back in, and I'd shake it all about, and then I do the hokey pokey, and I turn myself around because that's what it was all about. You know, when I voted for Donald Trump, I knew there'd be cuts, but never in my wildest dreams did I think the Department of Hokey Pokey, as important as it is, would be one of them cut.
And not try to be judgmental, but the way them old veiny ceilings look, I haven't seen veiny ceilings or popcorn ceilings in years. So that lets me know his home is older. He also has old oak behind him. So I just hope that he's not one of those people in the future that needs any type of benefit from the government, any type of government assistance, Medicaid, food stamps. Just make sure you keep that same energy, okay? That's all I'm saying. Don't come back here crying 6 months from now when your medicines are, twice as much. Just keep the same energy is all I'm saying, okay?
I can't read. I love these. Uncle, I can't. You can't.
Listen, man, I know y'all hate everything about Donald Trump and his administration. I understand that you hate Elon Musk and DOGE, but we got to give Elon Musk his credit. Look, I've said it several times. I am not the biggest fan of Elon Musk. But the fact that Elon Musk has announced that DOGE will be investigating the salaries of these congressmen and women has made my day. See, it's funny because these liberals, they always blaming Trump. Why would he put a billionaire over this department? We don't need billionaires in our government. We don't need them at all. Meanwhile, Congress is full of these rich-ass Democrats. To me, it sounds like the pot calling the kettle black. And this the crazy part. A lot of these folks that's in Congress, these Democrats, they're saying they had these low wages, that they only making whatever the base pay is. Whole time they are millionaires. They're getting money from elsewhere, but they're going to continue to lie to us in our face and then go and blame Elon Musk and say that we shouldn't have millionaires and billionaires in our government. The whole time these Democrats are the millionaires.
You guys, I'm really confused, so maybe you can help me out. How bad exactly am I supposed to feel for government employees losing their jobs in this new administration, or having to justify their jobs in front of 25-year-old kids that Elon Musk has brought in? Exactly how bad am I supposed to feel? Because you want to know how much notice I got that I was non-essential? None. No notice. In fact, on March 15, 2020, I was on my way to a shift when Governor Newsom announced that all of the bars and the restaurants in the state were closed. So that took care of that. That's how much notice I got, literally on my way to a shift. And in fact, the day prior, I had worked my last shift at my other job, which was tutoring, except I didn't know it was my last shift at the time. I lost both of my jobs overnight and didn't even realize it was happening until after the fact, because of how non-essential I was. In fact, I was non-essential for over a year, and there was no justifying my position. In fact, every single time that I tried to point out and argue for the fact that almost all of us, pretty much all of us, were going to survive COVID, but we may not survive it financially or in terms of emotional health. If you keep telling us we're non-essential and keeping us locked down, I was basically told to shove it. So there was no justification. There was no notice when it came to millions of us being deemed non-essential, even though our jobs are essential to us. So forgive me if I don't have any tears to spare for these federal employees. It sucks to be told you're non-essential, doesn't it?
And you people still don't get it. You don't get it. I voted for Donald Trump, black Trump supporter, voted for Donald Trump to do what he's doing. Did you expect Donald Trump to do this? Not all this. Oh, it feels so good. That's how I feel. Do you like Elon Musk? Yes. Well, yes. Yes, I do. I'm watching Democrats tell me, I thought Republicans like small government. Well, that didn't work, so we need Elon. That's why we got Elon, to help shrink it. Look what he's doing for the USAID. They're dropping their workforce from 10,000 to 300. Black History Moment. Black History Moment. Every last black that's on television seem to be all sucking off the Democrat teeth. All of them give the same talking point, the same concerns, all Democrat approved. All of you Democrat approved. Well, Donald Trump, he really ain't helping black people. He really ain't helping black people. You brag one moment black people didn't support Donald Trump. So why are you upset Donald Trump ain't supporting black folk? You can't have it both ways, but he is. What Donald Trump is doing, he's eliminating are you a DEI hire or are you a hire? Yes, and people have a right to say that. I'm enjoying every single bit of this. Friday, I'm loving it. Trump kicking butt. You don't like it? Guess what? You didn't vote for Trump. We're out here protesting. We're protesting DOGE. Did you vote for Donald Trump? No! So why am I surprised that you out here protesting Trump? You didn't vote for him. So of course you're not going to like it. But as for people like me, I'm loving it. Enjoy your Friday.
A warning from one of the several hundred FAA employees who was just fired. I'm, quote, scared to death, and the American public should be scared too, is what we're hearing from Charlie Statlander, who says he was working on an urgent FAA defense program in Hawaii to detect incoming cruise missiles. He thought his job would be spared because it focused on national security. But on Friday, along with hundreds of other FAA probationary employees, he was fired. You say that the American public should be scared by your firing and the hundreds of your FAA colleagues as well. Why is that?
I do think the American public does need to be concerned. I gave that quote about being scared to death because, well, I can't talk about the specifics of the project I worked on and what all I was doing. What I can tell you is that the FAA National Defense Program that I was a part of and was incredibly proud to work for the mission, to accomplish the mission of, has an incredibly important national security role. And I was working on incredibly important national security work.
The White House defended these cuts by saying no air traffic controllers nor any professionals who perform safety critical functions were terminated. Is that accurate from what you know?
So again, I was in the FAA National Defense Program, so I don't really have any knowledge on the air traffic controller side of that. But I can tell you that the second part of that, regarding public safety or critical public safety, from my perspective and the work I was doing, is a flat out false statement.
So instead of making America great again, I feel like the newest slogan should just be making America unemployed again. Looks like that's the plan. Laying off 200,000 federal workers. United Health is laying off 30,000 workers this week via Zoom calls. And then now Southwest is going to be doing a mass layoff. Who's next? Who else is going to be unemployed this week?
I live in Maryland, and if you've been paying attention at all, you know that the government workers getting laid off is significantly affecting the Maryland, Virginia, D.C. area, among other states, but being hit pretty hard here. And I have a family member that works in the Office of Naval Intelligence in D.C., and they let me know this morning that thankfully they are not fired, but 150 people in their office were told yesterday that they're being fired, and they have until today, end of day, to clear out and remove themselves from the office. Cruelty is the point with these people. They don't realize that those are people with families, mortgages, car payments, groceries to buy, and they were just told yesterday that they don't have a job and they have to remove themselves from the office today. Another text that I got from my family member said because of those people that were fired, they can no longer protect the Navy from their office. So let that sink in a little bit, that the person that you voted for put things into motion that ultimately made the Navy less protected. So if that's what MAGA means, I'm really starting to wonder, are we great yet?
You know, I've never been fired. I've never been unemployed, and I've never been homeless. And I thank God every day for that. But call me crazy, but there's something in me called empathy. And just because I've never been in that situation, when I see other people in that situation, I can put myself in their shoes and I can empathize with what they might be going through. And I literally feel bad for them. Like what's happening with all the layoffs right now. You don't have to be laid off. You don't have to be unemployed to put yourself in somebody else's shoes and empathize with their situation. And not be a jackass and celebrate somebody else's downfall. And I don't know if it's just TikTok or what it is, but we are surrounded by some fucked up people. I'm sorry. I just had to say it. All I know.
Now, you know it's real when Auntie is out here cussing. Y'all got Auntie stressed out. She said we are surrounded by fucked up people. Oh my gosh. Wasn't expecting that.
It's probably going to get worse before it gets better, y'all. You ever hear that saying, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush? If you have a job, keep it. If you have an apartment, keep it. If you have a car, hang on to it. Hang on to whatever you have and ride this thing out, because it's getting rough out there. All right. Love y'all. Bye.
Trump's executive orders are 1,000% going to affect the economy directly here in Kansas City, because if you guys didn't know, the federal government is the largest employer here in KC, with 30,000 jobs being Fed jobs. IRS alone, I believe, employs 6,000 people here in KC, and 1,000 of those jobs are up for layoffs because we have about 1,000 probationary employees that work for the IRS here, and layoffs did just start today. Around 50 to 60 people already lost their jobs just today. They were escorted out of the building. And it's not just the IRS. The Department of Agriculture and the VA have huge presences here in KC, with the VA being one of the most important. The core of the federal presence here in Kansas City is due to the VA, and they have been working on a decades-long process to modernize our healthcare for the veterans, and this is going to have huge impacts on our veteran care across the country. Now, I am really not aware of any fallbacks. I know a couple of states with their massive layoffs for federal workers have protections in place, but I am not aware of anything here in the state of Missouri or Kansas yet. But if there is, I will keep everyone updated.
So this girl is saying basically, where was all this care when the Keystone Pipeline workers were fired? Why should federal workers be treated differently? Okay.
Are y'all okay? Because as someone myself who has never, ever worked a day in my life in the public sector, seeing folks who work in the private sector celebrate federal workers losing their jobs and getting laid off, are y'all okay? You do realize that these are highly skilled, highly trained, highly educated people that you will now have to compete with in the workforce to get a job? These same people who were probably doing more than you and getting paid less, who are now going to compete for your job and might just be okay getting paid less? Why are you celebrating? I'm genuinely confused who you think the government was employing. Do you know how competitive those jobs are? The lack of thinking right now. I just...
Hey guys, I just want to say federal employees in most cases are normal people. They're your neighbors, your kids' Sunday school teacher. They aren't riding a gravy train, and many live paycheck to paycheck. So I don't understand. They pay for health care. They pay federal, state, and sometimes local taxes. In most cases, the government does not provide housings for them. So again, celebrating the mass firings of these people is not only cruel, it's subhuman. I won't be arguing about this anymore. And it's not about an argument. I'm just saying, it's just I just cannot believe what is going on. You know, people have their own opinion, but I just cannot believe what people are saying. And it's not even about the federal mass firing. It could be anybody. It could be the private sector. Celebrating someone's downfall is not cool.
I never knew that so many regular working class people, and I'm only saying regular because I'm trying to distinguish you all from government workers, because you guys have put us up on such a high pedestal. Clearly we are esteemed and looked at as better than you guys. So you regular working people, I never knew that you had such hatred in your hearts and such disdain and envy and jealousy over us esteemed federal workers. I never knew that. You know, I never knew that the fact that we stayed out of the way, we worked from home, or, you know, worked some days in the office and some days at home. I never knew that that was a source of contention for you. I never knew that it bothered your souls to know that we were afforded such opportunities. I never knew that you guys thought that each and every president that was before Trump allowed us to stay at home all these years, because remember, Trump was in office before too, so he was one of those presidents, and do absolutely nothing. I never knew that. I never knew you guys felt like the government ran the way that it ran by robots, because clearly it wasn't us human people, because we didn't do anything while we were at home and you were slaving at work at Walmart or wherever you work. Nothing wrong with Walmart, but clearly the way you guys think, we got it so much better and you hate it. I had all these people under the last video that I wrote talking about, oh, you guys needed to do this and welcome back and all this stuff. Like, did that hurt your pockets because we were working at home? Did it stop your bag? I don't know. I would think that if you felt like we had it just so great, you would actually try to be an esteemed federal worker instead of a regular worker.
Hello. I was a federal worker who had 1 month left of her probationary period, and today I was told that I will be terminated at some point this week. I'm utterly devastated. I'm confused because my recent performance evaluation was exceptional and I got upwards of $1,500 as a bonus because my performance was so good. And this was my dream job, and it's just being taken away by an administration who doesn't care about science. It doesn't care about people who might be homeless with their dog now. They don't care about our species that we're trying to conserve. That's exactly what my job was doing. It was just to assess habitat conservation for species for a 55-year habitat conservation plan. We should all be so mad right now. We should all be crying like this because I'm just devastated.
So that's sad. So as you see, it is really affecting real people. She's a scientist. She had 1 month left after being on probation for 2 years, and her job is gone just like that.
I'm sitting here. I don't want to cry, but I feel like the tears are going to start rolling. But I just got an email from a manager telling me to come into the office tomorrow and bring all my government issue equipment. So I'm thinking that they laid me off. I've been working with the IRS for a couple months now, and I just don't understand how this is legal. I have a daughter, I have responsibilities, I have bills, and he just comes and lays people off. How does he sleep at night knowing that he's taking income away from so many families?
What the fuck is wrong with some of y'all, man? I've been seeing all the news about all these federal workers that have been getting fired, laid off, people that are on probation, people that aren't even on probation, that, some people resigned that were in higher positions because I'm pretty sure they didn't want to break the law. But I've been looking at like the news on TikTok and on other stuff, on other platforms, looking at videos on here. Some of you people are just terrible people, honestly. I've been seeing in some of the comments, people were saying like, oh yeah, go Trump, go Elon. Like, these people just lost their jobs. I saw another video, it was a couple days ago. This woman was talking about all the houses that were for sale in Washington, D.C. And this one woman was talking about, oh, these houses are worth millions of dollars. I wonder how they got it on their government salary. Like, these people haven't potentially been living there for years and they bought the house cheaper, and it's just like, people don't understand appreciation of an asset. It's ridiculous. And then I responded to somebody talking about this, and this bitch gonna say, oh, I'm glad, like, if I have to suffer, or like basically saying, oh, if I have to suffer, so do they. Like, we all have to we all have to suffer through and manage all these cuts that are happening because of DOGE. Like, what the fuck, bitch? What the fuck is wrong with you people, man? Y'all just on here just saying stupid fucking shit, man. Shit talking federal workers, people that have to, like, y'all clearly don't know how it works to get hired and have not had to navigate USA jobs and how difficult the requirements are. You have to have the resume tweaked a certain way. But you stupid ass hateful bitches come on this app laughing and enjoying that people are losing their jobs, cheering that shit on. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people, man? Like, damn, bitch.
Good afternoon, federal employee friends. You get a midday update on the federal employee firings. There's been some changes, some we expected, some that caught me off guard a little bit. The IRS has fired 7,000 federal employees. The Department of Defense, specifically the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, and U.S. Navy, have started sending out letters for their federal employees. Now, a couple that caught me off guard and I didn't expect. The Transportation Security Administration, TSA, fired 300 to 400 employees today. That was confirmed to me by a supervisor at the airport I'm in right now. Also, we have Department of Homeland Security, Sciences and Technology Directorate, and Department of State. I don't have any information on who at Department of State, at the State Department, but it has been confirmed to me that they have rolled up their probationary lists and the firings will be forthcoming. That's all I have for now. I might not have any more information since I'm flying pretty much for the rest of the day into the late evening on the East Coast, but I'll try to get something out if I can. Otherwise, again, sorry for the bad news.
Now, you know, because I've been let go of this job and our entire, you know, because of Trump, I've just been let go. I've just lost my job. As a matter of fact, our whole entire department lost their jobs. I was one of the head research analysts for a specific department, and we were in charge of discovering who let the dogs out. And
These folks are nuts, I swear.
now, you know, because I've been let go of this job and our entire department has been let go, the world will never know who let the dogs out. And all those years and all those research, all that research that was done, just goes right down the drain. And I
Can't make this up.
don't know. It's horrible that the world will never know about those dogs.
MAGA is not playing out here. They got the soft music going and they are trolling the shit out of people right now on TikTok. Trolling the hell out of these federal workers. It's insane. But like I said, I'm going to show you guys both parts.
So, I lost my job today. Been working for the federal government for over 20 years. I didn't vote for this. I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm 50. I'll be 51 this year. Nobody's going to hire me. It's age discrimination. They took the DEI out, so I'm not a protected status anymore. I don't even know how to fill out these new applications online. Have you guys seen that? Everything's online. And they offered us 8 months of paid leave, but we didn't think it was real. Like, we thought you guys were going to protect us because we voted for humanity. I mean, every time they've done any kind of assessment on me, I've gotten bonuses, I've gotten paid vacation time, I've got pay raises. I do a great job. I don't deserve this. If you've watched this far, I'm just mimicking everything I've heard about these federal employees losing their jobs. Guess what? You work for us. And a lot of us don't appreciate you trying to guilt us because you were offered 8 months buyout package. I mean, when my husband was laid off 3 months ago, he showed up for work that day and got a pink slip on a Wednesday. That's it. No payday for Thursday or Friday. Go get a new job. No warning, no nothing. That is the reality of when you get laid off. You know that private insurance that you have that you're not explaining to all these people feeling sorry for you? Did you guys know that federal employees get a totally different type of insurance than everybody else in America stuck on Obamacare? Yeah. Research that for a second. Not to mention they can retire after 20 years with a full retirement and Social Security. I'm sorry. We don't feel bad for you. We know most of you are paid actors from the CIA and the left mainstream media, and you're not fooling the rest of us. Americans, do better. Do better. The federal employees.
She really went there and said that a lot of these federal employees are paid CIA agents. Oh, yeah. MAGA is not pulling no punches, child.
It's like the biggest industry in America. That says a lot. We voted for smaller government. We voted for accountability with how you're spending our tax dollars. And I'm sorry. We just don't care.
TikTok ban is the first time I've ever seen Americans celebrate massive job loss. And it's the same people that were whining about, we need more jobs, unemployment is at an all-time high, we need more in the economy. It's like, I don't think they really think for themselves. Like, if you can switch up that quickly, then you obviously fall for anything because you stand for nothing at that point. Like, almost un-American to do that.
9-to-5 workers, everyday Americans are out here celebrating because we just cost over 220,000 people. Well, not we, y'all did, because I ain't do this stuff. But over 220,000 people have lost their jobs with the federal government. Not based on merit, just based on when they were hired. I thought we wanted a meritocracy. I thought we wanted to prove that people were actually able to do their jobs. We didn't do performance reviews. You don't want to do that, see, because then if that's the case, you got to get rid of every member of the cabinet that's been appointed. And also your president. You don't want that. But you also don't want to feed people or take care of them. I thought we didn't like entitlements, but you just put 220,000 people in line for government assistance and food stamps.
All right, y'all. So like I told y'all, it is a lot going on TikTok and social media, the back and forth. So I want to just kind of let the folks get the stuff off their chest. Now I'm going to state my opinion on what I see. Okay. I think there's a lot of jealousy from some people that are very upset about the federal workers, having federal jobs, because like I said earlier in the video, there's a lot of benefits that does come with being a federal worker. Once you get that security clearance, your job is basically guaranteed. A lot of times, federal workers, you got to die to get up out that position. This is the first time where you've seen like massive layoffs in the federal, sector. Usually these massive layoffs take place with regular people. We've seen these layoffs at McDonald's, Walmart, the tech layoffs. Silicon Valley, so many tech people were laid off. So now I think part of it is people are happy, like, okay, now the government, these government employees, they're getting it just like we got it. I was told I was an essential worker, and I believe that my position was valuable, just like they believe that their position is valuable. So, and I think some of it is pocket watching too. People feel like federal workers are making so much money. Granted, some of them are. You do have some Fed workers that are making $100,000 a year easily. But then you have other people that are making regular salaries, $30,000 to $40,000 to $50,000 a year, but what people are not looking at the big picture is all of this. Regardless of how you voted, regardless if you're team MAGA or not, it's going to have a trickle-down effect. And I think that, that's why I talked about people having a lack of empathy. It's going to have a trickle-down effect. Do y'all think that all of these federal workers, and there were thousands laid off, even here in Minnesota, I think they laid off over 4,000 federal workers. A lot of them were like with the park rangers and like the national forest, they did foresty stuff. I don't know everybody's job title. All I know is that over 4,000 Minnesotans that worked in the federal, were fired. And so what ends up happening, I don't know if people think that these federal people are just going to float away into, space, get into, SpaceX and just, go on a rocket and, get out of the stratosphere. I don't know what people think. But these federal workers are regular human beings, okay? They're not, aliens. They don't live on another planet. They are going to come into the public sector. Okay, and start applying for jobs. Why? Because these federal workers also have mortgages, they have rent to pay, they have daycare, they have bills. So now you're going to be in competition in the private sector with federal workers. Like the one lady said, who have amazing resumes, who have, several degrees, who a lot of people in the private sector would love to hire. So now it's going to be more competition. There's already not enough jobs out here. Job cuts, layoffs. So now look how many regular people get laid off all the time that are on TikTok talking about their layoffs. Now they're going to have to compete with these federal workers. On top of that, let's also not forget how it's going to affect the economy, especially in places like DC, Maryland, Virginia, where those are where the main bulk of federal workers work. It was stated not too long ago that there was some type of survey on Zillow and so many houses were being put up on the market, especially in the DC area. Because some people lost their jobs, they cannot afford their mortgages, so they are putting their homes up for sale. There are thousands of homes up for sale right now in just the DC DMV area because so many federal workers have lost their jobs. Meaning that if these federal workers are not going to work, and even if they work from home, they're not ordering Ubers. They're not going to local restaurants for lunch. They're not visiting local venues. They're not shopping locally in the area. They're not needing babysitters, daycare workers. So again, this is going to have a trickle-down effect because if they don't have a job, they're not going to need daycare. They can't afford daycare. If they're not going to work, they're not going to stop off at the local eatery for breakfast, lunch, or dinner. So this is going to affect DC a lot. And while I do understand that there needs to be some cuts made, I don't know what all jobs need to be cut. That's not for me to decide. I do feel like there is some government waste out there, but I feel like the way it's being done, it's just being done very just fast, callous. They're not thinking about it. They're not really understanding what these people's jobs entail. And it's going to be scary if some of these people's jobs that people feel are non-essential really do come back to bite us in the butt.
Officials are trying to rehire some critical nuclear workers days after nearly 300 employees of the National Nuclear Security Administration were fired. An internal email obtained by ABC News reads, quote, "The termination letters for some NNSA probationary employees are being rescinded, but we do not have a good way to get in touch with those personnel." Hundreds of employees were abruptly laid off late Thursday. Sources say when they attempted to return to their office Friday morning, they found themselves locked out. Other employees lost access to their email accounts before being informed of the termination. Democrats slamming the administration as Elon Musk and his DOGE team work to cut the federal workforce. To add to the confusion, the administration is acknowledging that some employees who took a buyout offer have been fired or let go in error. An official says the buyout agreement for those workers will be honored.
For me, I have empathy. I can't celebrate when anybody loses their job because I understand the trickle-down effect. I don't care if it's McDonald's employees getting laid off, if it's people in the tech sector, customer service, and that's what people don't understand. I think that's like the saddest part is that we've lost this chip and it's this whole them versus us mentality when anybody can be affected. Like I said, don't be so quick to celebrate federal workers being fired, just like federal workers should also have empathy when the private sector is also losing their jobs and they're fighting for their rights as well. Because again, things can always come back to bite other people. Nothing is secure out here. So we just have to be really smart with the way that we move, the way we spend our money and things like that. But don't ever laugh at somebody else's downfall because you don't know if that downfall may befall you in the future. Because right now it's jobs being cut. But there are also other cuts coming down the pipeline that were just announced yesterday. And I don't know if people are aware of these cuts that are coming down the pipeline. Let me go ahead and show you guys this before I clock out real quick. Basically right now, it is being stated that there's going to be large cuts to Medicaid and food stamps.
President Trump has endorsed a House budget plan that would make sweeping cuts to Medicaid. Under the proposed budget bill, roughly $880 billion would be cut from Medicaid, and $230 billion would be cut from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as food stamps. President Trump has endorsed a House budget plan that would make sweeping cuts to Medicaid. Under the proposed budget bill, roughly $880 billion would be cut from Medicaid, and $230 billion would be cut from the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program known as food stamps. The president's endorsement on social media came just hours after he said he would not touch funding for programs like Medicaid, which provides health insurance for Americans with limited income. Dr. Celine Gounder joins us now. She's a CBS News medical contributor and editor-at-large for public health at KFF Health News. So, Doctor, what more can you tell us about who Medicaid serves?
So Medicaid covers people who are low income, so low income households. It also covers pregnant women, children, and people with disabilities. And about 1 in 5 Americans are covered by Medicaid. So it really does account for a huge proportion of health insurance coverage. And to go even further, almost half of kids are on Medicaid. About 40% of all pregnancies are covered by Medicaid. So it's a really important program for women and children.
So again, it's getting real out here, you know what I'm saying? So definitely pay attention to what's going on with these real world issues and topics, so don't laugh too hard. Maybe these cuts may not affect you, but then these cuts might affect you. Again, we saw earlier in the video, Jesse Waters was keying when everybody else was getting cut by DOGE until it hit his front door, and his good, disabled veteran friend was also cut by DOGE. So with that being said, thank you so much, Tea Sippers, for watching this video. I hope you guys enjoyed it and took something away from this video. So make sure you guys leave a comment down below. I look forward to reading y'all's comments. Please hit this video with a like and feel free to share the video as well. And I will talk to you guys later. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Deuces.
If you want the latest news in the streets, join us and tune in for the tea. Breaking news with integrity. So tell your friends and your family. It's the Lovelyti TV show, bringing you good tea and good vibes. It's the Lovelyti TV show. Be sure to share, like, and subscribe.